All right, so part of this is, I told you I was looking into architecture and things like that. Right from the beginning, I knew there was architectural principle somewhere in there. And I came across a book in that library called Structure and Nature is a Strategy for Design by a fellow named Peter Pierce.
And we are back to our sort of hotbed of thinking, which is the Smithsonian Museum and the bookstore at the ground, at the basement.
Exactly.
So we're back there. So it's kind of, we'll loop this way.
I never really left there.
Okay.
It was part of what I was constantly playing back and forth because I'm doing.
So you're still in that kind of hub, to say so.
Right. So I got Peter Pierce's book.
Do we have it somewhere?
Yes,
here?
it's right where? Right here now.
Okay, so let's have a look at that.
You can see
wow, it's well read. I would say it's sort of, okay, it falls apart here.
Right, and in
so
sections.
Structure and nature is a strategy for design. Now, Peter Pierce.
Now it turns out that Peter Pierce was a fellow who did a lot of the illustrations for Synergetics, Buckminster Fuller's book, and was a student of Buckminster Fuller. Now I didn't know that. And I don't think it's mentioned anywhere, even in his book. I found that out later.
This is impressive.
But this was the book that laid it all out for me from the standpoint. But he's an architect, and he's using these concepts to build buildings. So the last half of the book is about how to build a room or a building, but the first half goes through Buckminster Fuller's concepts in evolution, close packing, the whole.
But this book is from 70 something.
Yes.
But it was, so it was already there.
It was there.
Okay. Well, we lost those pages.
Yeah, but there's another copy of it over there.
Okay. So this book was already in print for a few years.
I don't know how long it was in print. It was relatively new, I'm sure.
But it was relatively new at the time.
Yeah, MIT Press.
MIT Press. So, but this, $12.50. Okay, so I see. The MIT Press. Yeah, okay.
Where can you get a book for $12.50?
Well, things have changed since then. Okay, so, but he was quite famous architect?
No, not then. He is now. But not then.
But at least recognized enough to be published by MIT.
Exactly.
So he wasn't like some offshoot there.
No, he was established. But he wrote this book, and in it he goes through this step-by-step evolution of close packing, tensegrity. Icosahedrons, tensegrity, spatial relationships. He does the whole thing and lays it all out. They said then, in the last part of the book, last half of the book, he's into the architectural application of it. But that first part of it lays out the natural development of structure.
Okay.
Basing like, this is how, mostly the close packing. So, of course, from there, I then went into several other books on the patterns in nature and things like that, and I looked into that. And then I go into, laws of close packing. I end up with foams and, learning about how foams get together. And, then...
and we talk about the foams, that is still that period of time, like the mid-70s.
The latter 70s. There was a 5-year period when I'm playing with all these things.
Okay.
And
So
I'm bouncing from one to the other because each thing is leading me to another. And it's like a pinball machine because you're bouncing back and forth. So to give you exactly which I did first, I really can't tell you because I was bouncing from one to the other.
Okay, but in that sense, you still remember that it was this book.
This was it.
This book is the one that actually made the click and kind of got it. Okay, that's realistic. That's nature connected.
Right. Because he's building buildings with it, I said I could build a body with it.
All right.
In that part where the sacrum hangs in front of the wings of the ilium in the pelvis, so the sacrum is actually falling out of the wings of the ilium. So it's hung like a hammock.
Mm-hmm. As opposed to being the keystone.
Opposed to be the keystone.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to the museum again, and it says it's a 5-year period where I'm doing all these things at the same time and doing this bit and that bit. And I looked at all the pelvises there, and they had one that was upside down. Every other one was right. I went up to my friend, and I said, "Hey, I think we got one pelvis upside down." We came down stairs and looked, and he said, "Oh yeah, we did this wrong."
Wait. What is that? So,
well, one of the creatures had the pelvis where the pelvis was locked in. And every other one, the sacrum actually hangs between the wings of the ilium.
okay.
So
But I thought that they were kind of screwing them together.
well, they were, but I mean, you could see the joint.
Ah, okay. So you went to the detail. You were actually looking at them with
Oh
the
yeah, I'm looking at all these joints, and you know.
Okay, so you're not just a passing spectator.
No,
you were
right,
you were
right.
like an inspector there. You know, hey guys,
we're climbing on these models. We're climbing on top of them.
So that was your special pass and special access to the museum that allowed you to get really close.
Exactly. See?
Okay, and that's also in the back rooms of the exposition.
In the back rooms, but the assembled one were in the front, and
Mhm.
we would actually go down in the display area and climb on these monster things with step ladders and everything. And the guards just go crazy until they saw who it was, and they saw, oh yes, Professor. We got,
I see. So you confused the guards. So it's like, who are these people?
But you can see the way the joints are, and the sacrum falls out of it, and it did it on everyone. And I said there was one model that didn't go that way. I said so we had to go and recheck it, and sure we well.
So in fact, you contributed to the correction of the exposition in
Yes.
Smithsonian. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, but this, as I said, all these things, I was going in a lot of different directions at the same time during this 5-year period.